Well, good morning and welcome to Tracy's Reading Corner. I'm here with my teddy bear, and we've been reading about Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, haven't we? And we're going to meet some of the newer or the other characters in Winnie the Pooh's books. Now, I was asked whether or not you could find any of the books online, and you can. The website is up in the chat box to be able to actually get at least the first book that it is that I'm reading. He actually wrote 3 books. We're going to read one story from the first book that we've been reading, and then we're going to read from another one if we have time. But we are going to have a chance to try our hand at drawing Winnie the Pooh. Okay. So in our story today, we're going to meet his other friend, who just kind of shows up at the 100-Acre Wood. And it's Kanga. Kanga and her baby Roo. Can you imagine having to carry him? It's bad enough to carry a baby inside for 9 months, but oh my goodness, have it crawl out and then sit in your pocket again and have to hop around with it. Well, I guess in a sense, when we carry him on our backs or in the front packs that we do, it's kind of like carrying it around in a pouch, isn't it? So we're going to meet Kanga. And so the story that we're going to start with today is chapter 7, in which Kanga and baby Roo come to the forest and Piglet has a bath. Nobody seemed to know where they came from, but there they were in the forest, Kanga and baby Roo. When Pooh asked Christopher Robin, "How did they come here?" Christopher Robin said, "In the usual way, if you know what I mean, Pooh." And Pooh, who didn't, said, "Oh," and then he nodded his head twice and said, in the usual way, ah. And then he went to call upon his friend Piglet to see what he thought about it. And at Piglet's house, he found Rabbit. So they all talked about it together. "What I don't like about it is this," said Rabbit. Here we are, you, Pooh, and you, Piglet, and me, and suddenly, and Eeyore, said Pooh, and Eeyore. And then suddenly, and ow, said Pooh, and ow. Oh, and Eeyore, said Pooh, and I was forgetting him. Oh, anyhow, here we all are, said Rabbit. Here we are, said Rabbit very slowly and carefully, all of us. And then suddenly we wake up one morning and what do we find? We find a strange animal among us, an animal of whom we have never heard of before, an animal who carries her family about in her pocket. Suppose I carried my family about in my pocket. How many pockets should I want? 16, said Piglet. 17, isn't it? Said Rabbit. And one more for a handkerchief. That's 18. 18 pockets in one suit. I haven't time. There was a long, thoughtful silence. And then Pooh, who had been frowning very hard for some minutes, said, "I make it 15. "What?" said Rabbit. 15. 15 what? Your family. What about them? Pooh rubbed his nose and said that he thought Rabbit had been talking about his family. "Did I?" said Rabbit carelessly. "Yes. You said—" "Never mind, Pooh," said Piglet impatiently. "The question is, what are we going to do about Kanga?" "Oh, I see," said Pooh. "The best way," said Rabbit, "would be this. The best way would be to steal Baby Roo and hide him. And then when Kanga says, "Where's Baby Roo?" we say, "Aha!" "Aha," said Pooh, practicing. "Aha, aha." Of course, he went on. We could say aha, even if we hadn't stolen Baby Roo. "Pooh," said Rabbit kindly, "you haven't any brain." "I know," said Pooh humbly. We say aha so that Kanga knows that we know where Baby Roo is. Aha means we'll tell you where Baby Roo is if you promise to go away from the forest and never come back. "Now, don't talk while I think," said Rabbit. Pooh went into a corner and tried saying aha in that sort of voice. Sometimes it seemed to him that it did mean what Rabbit said, and sometimes it seemed to him that it didn't. "I suppose it's just practice," he thought. "I wonder if Kanga will have to practice too, so as to understand it." "There's just one thing," said Piglet, fidgeting a little bit. "I was talking to Christopher Robin, and he said that Kanga was generally regarded as one of the fiercer animals." "I'm not frightened of fiercer animals in the ordinary way, but it is well known that if one of the fiercer animals is deprived of its young, it becomes as fierce as two of the fiercer animals, in which case, aha is perhaps a foolish thing to say." "Piglet," said Rabbit, taking out a pencil and licking the end of it, "you haven't any plunk." It is hard to be brave," said Piglet, sniffling a little, "when you're only a very small animal." Rabbit and Piglet and Pooh. Rabbit, who had begun to write very busily, looked up and said, "It is because you are a very small animal that you will be useful in the adventure before us." Piglet was so excited at the idea of being useful that he forgot to be frightened anymore. And when Rabbit went on to say that Kanga were only fierce during winter months, being at other times of an affectionate disposition, he could hardly sit still. He was so eager to begin to be useful at once. "What about me?" said Pooh sadly. "I suppose I shan't be useful." "Never mind, Pooh," said Piglet comfortingly. "Another time, perhaps." "Without Pooh," said Rabbit solemnly, as he sharpened his pencil, "the adventure would be impossible." "Oh," said Piglet, and tried not to look disappointed. But Pooh went into a corner of the room and said proudly to himself, "Impossible without me, that sort of bear." "Now, listen, all of you," said Rabbit, when he had finished writing, and Pooh and Piglet sat listening very eagerly with their mouths open. This is what Rabbit read out. "Plan to catch Baby Roo. Number 1, general remarks. Kanga runs faster than any of us, even me. Number 2, more general remarks. Kanga never takes her eye off Baby Roo, except when he's safely buttoned up in her pocket. 3, therefore, if we are to capture Baby Roo, we must get a long start, because Kanga runs faster than any of us, even me. See number 1. 4, a thought. If Roo had jumped out of Kanga's pocket and Piglet had jumped in, Kanga wouldn't know the difference because Piglet is a very small animal. Number 5. like Roo. Number 6. But Kanga would have to be looking the other way first so as to not see Piglet jump in. See number 2. 8. Another thought. But if Pooh was talking to her very excitingly, she might look the other way for a moment. Then I could run away with Roo quickly. And Kanga wouldn't discover the difference until afterwards. Well, Rabbit read this out proudly, and for a little while afterwards, after he read it, nobody said anything. And then Piglet, who had been opening and shutting his mouth without making any noise, managed to say very huskily, and afterwards? What do you mean? Well, when Kanga does discover the difference? Well, that's when we all say, aha. All 3 of us? Yes, said Rabbit. Oh, why, what's the trouble, Piglet? Nothing, said Piglet, as long as we all 3 say it. As long as we all 3 say it, said Piglet, I don't mind, he said. But I shouldn't care to say aha by myself. It wouldn't sound nearly so well. And by the way, he said, you are quite sure about what you said about the winter months? Winter months, Rabbit said. Yes, only being fierce in the winter months? Oh, yes, said Rabbit. That's all right. Well, Pooh, you see what we have to do? No, said Pooh Bear, not yet. What do I do? Well, you just have to talk very hard to Kanga so she doesn't notice anything at all. Excuse me. Oh, about what? Anything you like. You mean like telling her a little bit of poetry or something? That's it, said Rabbit. Splendid. Now come along. And so they all went out to look for Kanga. Kanga and Roo were spending a quiet afternoon in a sandy part of the forest. Baby Roo was practicing very small jumps in the sand and falling down mouse holes and then climbing up out of them. And Kanga was fidgeting about and saying, just one more jump, dear, and then we must go home. And at that moment, who should come stomping up the hill but Pooh? Good afternoon, Kanga. Good afternoon, Pooh. Look at me jumping, squeaked Roo, and fell into another mouse hole. Hello, Roo, my little fellow. We were just going home, said Kanga. Good afternoon, Rabbit. Good afternoon, Piglet. They're pretty small pictures, unfortunately, and a very big book to hold up. Rabbit and Piglet, who had now come up from the other side of the hill, said, good afternoon, and hello, Roo. And Roo asked them to look at him jumping, so they stayed and looked. And Kanga looked too. Oh, Kanga, said Pooh, after Rabbit had winked at him twice. I don't know if you're interested in poetry at all. Hardly at all, said Kanga. Oh, said Pooh. Roo, dear, just one more jump, and then we really must go home. There was a short silence while Roo fell down another mouse hole. Go on, said Rabbit, in a loud whisper behind his paw. Talking of poetry, said Pooh, I made up this little piece as I was coming along. And it went like this. Now, let me see. Fancy, said Kanga. Now, Roo, dear, you'll like this piece of poetry, said Rabbit. You'll love it, said Piglet. You must listen very carefully, said Rabbit, so as not to miss any of it, said Piglet. Oh, yes, said Kanga, but she was still looking at Baby Roo. How did it go, Pooh? Said Rabbit. Pooh gave a little cough and began. These are the lines written by a bear of very little brain. On Monday, when the sun is hot, I wonder to myself a lot. Now, is it true or is it not that what is which and which is what? On Tuesday, when it hails and snows, the feeling on me grows and grows, that hardly anybody knows if those are these or these are those. On Wednesday, when the sky is blue and I have nothing else to do, I sometimes wonder if it's true that who is what and what is who. On Thursday, when it starts to freeze and hoarfrost twinkles on the trees, how very readily one sees that these are whose and whose are these. On Friday, yes, 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 it is, isn't it? Said Kanga, not waiting to hear what happened on Friday. Just one more jump, Roo, one more, dear, and then we really must be going. Rabbit gave Pooh a hurry up sort of nudge. Talking of poetry, said Pooh quickly, have you ever noticed the tree right over there? Where? said Kanga. Now, Roo, right over there, Pooh said, pointing behind Kanga's back. No, said Kanga. Now, jump in, Roo, dear, and we'll go home. You ought to look at that tree right over there, said Rabbit. Shall I lift you in, Pooh? Shall I lift you in, Roo? And he picked up Roo in his paws. I can see a bird in it from here, said Pooh. Or is it a fish? You ought to see that bird from here, said Rabbit, unless it's a fish. It isn't a fish, it's a bird, said Piglet. So it is, said Rabbit. Is it a starling or a blackbird? asked Pooh. Well, that's the whole question, said Rabbit. Is it a blackbird or a starling? And then, at last, Kanga did turn her head to look. And at that moment that her head was turned, Rabbit said in a loud voice, in you go, Roo. And in jumped Piglet into Kanga's pocket. And off scampered Rabbit with Roo in his paws just as fast as he could. Why, where's Rabbit? said Kanga, turning around again. Are you all right, Roo dear? Piglet made a squeaky Roo noise from the bottom of Kanga's pocket. Rabbit had to go away, said Pooh, and I think I think he thought of something he had to do and see about something suddenly. And Piglet? I think Piglet thought of something at the same time, suddenly. Well, we must get home, said Kanga. Goodbye, Pooh. And in 3 large jumps, she was gone. So there she is, hopping off, only instead of Roo, she has Piglet in her pocket. Pooh looked after her as she went. I wish I could jump like that, he thought. Some can and some can't. That's just how it is. But there were moments when Piglet wished that Kanga couldn't. Often, when he had had a long walk home through the forest, he had wished that he were a bird and not, he thought, jerking to himself at the bottom of Kanga's pocket. If this is flying, I shall never really take to it. And if you look at the way he wrote those words, if this is flying, then I'll never really take to it. You'll see that they're sort of up and down because Piglet is bouncing up and down in Kanga's pocket. And as soon as he went into the air, he said, ooh. And as soon as he came down, he said, ow. And he was saying, ooh, ow, all the way home to Kanga's house. Of course, as soon as Kanga unbuttoned her pocket and saw what had happened, just for a moment she thought she was frightened, and then she knew she wasn't, for she felt quite sure that Christopher Robin would never let anything harm Roo. So she said to herself, if they are having a joke with me, then I will have a joke with them. Now, then, Roo dear, she said as she took Piglet out of her pocket, bedtime. Aha, said Piglet. as well as he could after his terrifying journey, but it wasn't a very good aha, and Kanga didn't seem to understand what it meant. "Bath first," said Kanga in a cheerful voice. "Aha!" said Piglet again, looking anxiously around for the others. But the others weren't there. Rabbit was playing with baby Roo in his own house and feeling more fond of him every minute. And Pooh had decided to be a Kanga. And Pooh, who decided to be a Kanga, was still at the sandy place on top of the forest practicing jumps. "I am not at all sure," said Kanga in a thoughtful voice, "that it wouldn't be a good idea to have a cold bath this evening. Would you like that, Roo dear?" Piglet, who had never really been fond of baths, shuddered a long, indignant shudder and said as bravely as he could, "Kanga, I see the time has come to speak plainly." "Oh, funny little Roo," said Kanga. She got the bath water ready. "I am not Roo," said Piglet loudly. "I am Piglet." "Yes, dear, yes," said Kanga soothingly. And and imitating Piglet's voice too. So clever of him. She went on and she took a large bar of yellow soap out of the cupboard. "What will you be doing next?" "Can't you see?" said Piglet. "Haven't you got eyes? Look at me." "I am looking at you, Roo dear," said Kanga rather severely. "And you know what I told you yesterday about making faces? If you go on making faces like Piglet's, you will grow up to look like Piglet. And then think how sorry you will be. Now then, into the bath, and don't let me have to speak to you again about it." Before he knew what was happening, Piglet was in the bath, and Kanga was scrubbing him firmly with a large leathery flannel. "Ow!" cried Piglet. "Let me out! I'm Piglet!" "Don't open your mouth, dear, or the soap goes in," said Kanga. "There! What did I tell you?" "You, you did that on purpose," sputtered Piglet, as soon as he could speak again, and then accidentally had another mouthful of leathery flannel. "That's right, dear. Don't say anything," said Kanga, and in another minute, Piglet was out of the bath, being rubbed dry with a towel. "Now," said Kanga, "here's your medicine, and then go to bed." What medicine?" said Piglet. "To make you grow big and strong, dear. You don't want to grow up small and weak like Piglet, now do you?" "Well then," and at that moment there came a knock at the door. "Come in," said Kanga, and in came Christopher Robin. "Christopher Robin! Christopher Robin!" cried Piglet. "Tell Kanga who I am. She keeps saying I'm Roo. I'm not Roo, am I?" Christopher Robin looked at him very carefully and shook his head. "You can't be Roo," he said, "because I've just seen Roo playing over there in Rabbit's house." "Well," said Kanga, "fancy that. Fancy my making a mistake like that." There's poor Piglet getting washed, not very happy about it, and getting his medicine. "There you are," said Piglet. "I told you so. I'm Piglet." Christopher Robin shook his head again. "Oh, you're not Piglet," he said. "I know Piglet well, and he's quite a different color." Piglet began to say that this was because he had just had a bath, and then he thought that perhaps he wouldn't say that. And as he opened his mouth to say something else, Kanga slipped the medicine spoon in, and then patted him on the back and told him that it was really quite a nice taste when you got used to it. "I knew it wasn't Piglet," said Kanga. "I wondered who it could be." Perhaps it's some relations of Pooh's, said Christopher Robin. What about a nephew or an uncle or something? Kanga agreed that was probably what it was, and said that it would have been nice to call it by some name. I shall call it Pootel, said Christopher Robin. Henry Pootel for short. And just when it was decided, Henry Pootel wiggled out of Kanga's arms and jumped to the ground. To his great joy, Christopher Robin had left the door open. Never had Henry Piglet run so fast as he ran then, and he didn't stop running until he had gotten quite close to home. But when he was 100 yards away, he stopped running, and he rolled the rest of the way home so as to get his nice, comfortable color back. So Kanga and Roo stayed in the forest, and every Tuesday Roo spent the day with his great friend Rabbit, and every Tuesday Kanga spent the day with her great friend Pooh, teaching him to jump, and every Tuesday Piglet spent the day with his great friend Christopher Robin, and all were happy. And Piglet is rolling around in the dirt. That's what they meant by, it wasn't Piglet's normal color, which was kind of that dirty brown. He's suddenly white and pink and beautiful. He's not used to that. So we've met Eeyore and Owl and Rabbit and Piglet, Christopher Robin and Pooh. And there's other animals in his story. But for now, what we're going to do is see if we can try and draw Pooh. Did you bring a piece of paper and a pencil? Now, oh, look at you. Okay. Oh, you drew that. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's very, did you do that? Did you draw that from just the story and the pictures from the story? You did. Yeah.
Yeah, I drew from the story and the pictures in the story because when we read the story last time, you said let's get the favorite parts of the story and we'll try to illustrate.
So tell me about the picture. I'm actually going to see if I turn my video off, will that just show? I wonder. I don't know. Okay. Because that's lovely. Tell me about what you did. And what was your favorite part of the story that you're doing there, that you're drawing?
My favorite part of the story was when the honeybee landed on Pooh's nose and he was like, Pooh, Pooh. Yeah. Because I've always
poof, poof. I can see it written over there. Very cool. And are those real flowers that you've put onto it?
Yeah, to give some colors.
Oh, lovely, lovely. You know, it's interesting that you do that. One of my favorite things when I have the opportunity to do any kind of artwork or painting is to use different flowers and to make the paintings out of the colors of the flowers. I love that. That's lovely. That's lovely.
Thank you.
Maybe if you get a chance, can you take a picture of that? And will you post the picture up on the Facebook when I post the video?
Okay, I'll take a picture of it and send to you.
Okay,
like
okay.
Deep with black sambo.
Okay, good. That would be great. And I did put the where you can actually get a copy of the book online of what we've been reading. That's free, that you can read online. So I put the website up in the chat box, and I also put the website up for the drawing. And my granddaughter and I tried drawing yesterday, and she wanted to do Tigger, which we tried, and we're not very successful at all. I had tried to do Pooh before that. And what I realize is that the way the artist presents the drawing and how it's filmed makes a huge difference. So I would say, you know, we're going to do Pooh, and I'll stop and start it a little bit. The most important things he's going to tell you is to, first of all, start with very light lines and then darken things in, okay? And the first thing you're going to have to draw, which was the hardest thing for me to do, is to do a circle. And then he says to go over the circle, go over the circle, go over the circle. I tell you, I went over that circle, and that circle was up here, and that circle was down. It was everywhere. So, you know, I have to just do one circle, and it's either right or, you know. But you'll figure out your own style. And I can only get it so big because it doesn't allow me to make it full size. And that's kind of a pain, too, but that's all right. I'm going to just bring it back to the beginning here. This site also shows you how to draw Tigger and Piglet and Eeyore. So, you know, try those too. Go ahead and try Tigger. You might be able to do it better than I can figure it out. And I'm going to share my screen and then try and get it in the center of the screen so you can see it well. Meanwhile, I'll get rid of some stuff. I'll minimize that. Okay. Are you able to see this pretty well? That's the biggest I can get it. That's the biggest I can get it. And if I need to, you know, if you need me to stop the video or to go back a little bit, just say so, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start this up. You ready?
Yeah. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm an artist here at the Magic of Disney Animation, Disney's Hollywood Studios. And today I am going to teach you how to draw the one, the only, Winnie the Pooh. All right, we're going to start with a circle. And as always, the best way to draw a circle is to use your whole arm. Your shoulder naturally rotates. So we're going to practice using your whole arm to draw a circle. The only way you can draw a circle, you can't do it any other way. You can't use your wrist or your elbow, but your shoulder in rotation. So, very, very lightly, it's very important to start our lines out really, really light. Right in the middle of your page, you're going to draw a circle about the size of a CD or DVD. You just want to go around multiple times. The more times you go around, you're able to fix your flat spots. The circle, it's really important to do lots of repetition with your circle. Just keep it really, really light. Then we need guidelines. Guidelines that tell us where we put the pieces of the character, like eyes, nose, mouth, etc., etc., etc. We need to know where the center of his head is, because he's going to be looking straight at us. So we're going to divide our circle in half, not the bottom. Then into quarters, from right to left. You really want to keep those lines really, really light. You don't want to make it look like you're putting a target on his head. So.
Okay, are you all right with it so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
More or less, yeah.
More or less. Okay. So you've got your circle and you've got your lines, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, really light with those lines. I'm going to draw an oval. If you're not trying to draw an oval, just draw a circle incorrectly. We're going to lean it against this guideline right here. It's going to go down towards the bottom of the circle. Nice, tall oval.
Notice that oval, which I didn't realize at first. Notice the oval is going from that midline all the way down to the other part of the circle, right? It's a full circle, half oval. Oops.
I think at his nose. His nose is a teddy bear nose. And so we're going to go just down from the top of the oval. I'm going to follow the same curve as the top of the oval. And we're going to create that teddy bear nose shape. So about halfway down the oval. Looks sort of like a guitar pick if you chip the tip off of it. Big teddy bear nose. We'll go across from the middle of the nose off to the left.
Are you good with the teddy bear nose?
Yes.
Okay, you ready? I keep stopping it so that you're, if you need time.
Yeah, I need some time to adjust what I drew.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. You go ahead and adjust, and while you're adjusting, you'll tell me when you adjusted, and maybe I'll read one of his poems while you're doing that out of his book of When We Were Very Young. Yeah, I just opened it up and see what we get. We got Twinkle Toes. When the sun shines through the leaves of the apple tree, when the sun makes shadows of leaves of the apple trees, then I pass on the grass from one leaf to another, from one leaf to its brother. Tiptoe, tiptoe, here I go. How are you doing? Are you adjusting?
Yeah, I'm cool now.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. The next one I was going to read was lines and squares. It's kind of interesting. We've got ovals and lines. Here we go.
Side of the oval, and we'll draw a little curve connecting the oval to the side of the circle. The same thing on both sides. You can see symmetrical. What have you done on one side, you're going to do on the other.
Do you see what those are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Those is the corner of his mouth. And from the middle of those lines, you're going to draw a line going down to the bottom of the oval, and you connect it all together to make a nice happy Pooh. You can go straight up from the top of the dimple, that corner of the mouth there, to the guideline. We'll draw little circles. Those are for his eyes. Maybe one there, and one there. Halfway between the circle and halfway between the eye and the top of the circle, we're going to draw his eyebrows. The eyebrows are little banana shapes, just messy banana shapes.
You good?
Yes.
Okay. I go on?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, now we can darken the facial features just to get that out of the way. Then we can start by darkening the outline of the nose. Then you can turn your pencil to the side, use it like a paintbrush, and shade in the nose. The faster you shade with the side of your pencil, the more even your surface. You don't ever want to use the tip of your pencil when you shade. The only thing that'll do is frustrate you, take you forever, look really bad when you're done, break your pencil, and possibly give you carpal tunnel. So to avoid all those things, use the side of your pencil, shade really, really fast. Requires no skill to do this. Just grab the pencil, flail your arm back and forth. As long as you touch paper, you'll make an even surface. And we're going to go ahead and darken the top curve of the oval from one.
Are you still shading the nose?
Now I'm done shading the nose.
Okay, so we're ready to go into the next
Side of the nose to the other.
Yeah.
Once you've got that, you can go ahead and darken the facial features. You want to leave your circle and your guidelines alone. And that oval, don't touch any more of that oval. Now, Pooh Bear is a real stuffed animal. He really belonged to the real Christopher Robin, who's a real son of A.A. Milne, the author of Winnie the Pooh, way back in 1926. And at first, when he was given to Christopher Robin, he was named Edward Bear. Christopher Robin changed that name to Winnie the Pooh a little later on. You can find the real Winnie the Pooh stuffed animal, as well as Piglet and Tigger and Eeyore and Kanga, all residing in a display case at the New York City Public Library. So if you ever want to go see the real honest-to-goodness stuffed animals that inspire the stories, that's where they're at. They're from New York City. Some messy eyebrows there. All right. Pooh Bear has a pretty misshapen head. It's just all stuff of fluff. And he has these big cheeks that jut out from the side of his head. So we're going to go across from the top of the eye off to the side of the circle. And we're going to draw a curve. We're just going to go down and out, and then in and down. So want to make sure you get a good curve in there. So down and out, in and down. You can do that on both sides. Should be able to latch onto that cheek and that dimple and just go squish, squish, squish.
Can you pause a little bit, Tracy?
I have it paused. Yep. While you're doing his dimply, squeezable cheeks, I'll read Lines and Squares, another one of his poems.
Okay.
Whenever I walk in a London street, I'm ever so careful to watch my feet. And I keep in the squares and the masses of bears who wait at the corners all ready to eat. The sillies who tread on the lines of the street go back to their lairs, and I say to them, bears, just look how I'm walking in all of the squares. And the little bears growl to each other, he's mine, as soon as he's silly and steps on a line. And some of the bigger bears try to pretend that they came round the corner to look for a friend. And they try to pretend that nobody cares whether you walk on the lines or the squares. But only the sillies believe their talk. It's ever so important how you walk. And it's ever so jolly to call out, bears, just watch me walk in all of the squares. How'd you do? You ready? Are we still adjusting those lines there?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Okay.
Working those once you're happy with them. Don't have to wait. Big squishy cheeks. The top of his head is flat, well, sort of flat. Just don't make it too flat. This is not Frank and Pooh. So I'm going to drag the line from the cheek against the side of the circle, which is going to push us above the circle. So you've got 1/4 inch above the circle, and I'm going to curve across, going to flatten out the top a little bit, connect it all together. Make your basic Winnie the Pooh head shape. Light to dark with that. Before you darken, make sure that yours are the way you want them to be. You don't ever want anything permanent. You can't fix it. His ears look like circles if you mash from the top of his head. At an angle from the eyebrows, and we're going to place one right here. The little teddy bear ears. Some people consider them like Mickey's ears. They're not like Mickey's ears at all. Mickey's ears are freestanding circles on the top of his circular head. Pooh's ears are teddy bear ears, so they may have started out as circles when they were cut out from fabric. But once they're sewn together, stuffed with fluff and sewn onto his head, they're not circles anymore. They got that flat spot on one side, a little bit of angle on this one. All right, we're gonna give him a little bit of his shirt collar. He's got that little red shirt that he wears. And we're gonna start at the bottom of the head with a little curve, running the center guideline. It's gonna start a little bit on the outside of the cheek and curve down to the guideline.
Tracy, can you press a little?
Yeah. How are things over where you are? Are you still confined on stay-at-homes?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they're
I
still
think
confined.
everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you hear of your friends in Cameroon?
Well, for those in Cameroon's, places are locked from 6 p.m.
Hmm.
to 6 a.m. and from 6 a.m. activities do continues. So we don't have, back in Cameroon, there is no state of emergency as we do have it here. But as for the number of cases, it keeps on increasing day in, day out.
In Cameroon, or where you are? Is Cameroon got a lot of cases?
Yeah, I think they should be moving to 650.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but out of the 650, about 60 or 70 more or less have recovered from the virus. So, yeah.
Do you want me to start it back up? No?
Yeah, Tracy,
Okay.
please.
Same thing on both sides. Connected together so it looks like a side view of an open book. And we see the ends of the collar. Just draw a little curve around that. And we can see a little bit of shoulder right there as well. And they can go through, you can use the side of your pencil, or you can get a red pencil or a red crayon and just go through really lightly and put a little bit of shade on that shirt collar. A lot of people think that little red shirt is something that we gave them here at Disney because it's not in any of the original book illustrations. But that's not actually the case. It dates all the way back to a year after the book's original publication, back in 1927. E.H. Shepard, who was the illustrator of the books, was asked to do a drawing of Pooh and Piglet for a board game that was coming out. It was considered the first Winnie the Pooh merchandise. And he decided just to add a little red shirt onto him. Nobody really knows why. And then when we got a hold of the property, started making films Winnie the Pooh in 1966, we decided to keep that little red shirt on him. And he's had it ever since. All right, there you guys have it. You can go ahead and sign your drawing. Always sign your drawings, you know whose masterpiece it is.
Are you good? Do you need to go back at all and see any of it, or are you good with that so far?
I'm good.
Okay. Let's stop sharing my screen. So I'll show you what I ended up doing yesterday. I have to do it again. I can't run the machine and try and draw. But this was mine yesterday.
Wow.
It needs a lot of refinement. Yeah. How'd you do? Oh, very good. Oh, and that isn't that interesting? You ended up drawing yours this way and the paper, and I ended up drawing mine this way. Ah, isn't that cool? Okay. Make sure to send me a picture of that too, and I'll put our pictures up with the post, okay? So they can see what we did. And you have to make sure you do what to it now.
Okay.
You need to make sure you sign it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did sign.
Oh, good. You got it signed. Very nice. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Good. And so, well, no, I'm not sure what I'm going to do Friday, if I'm going to do Winnie the Pooh again or not. But you and I can decide on that maybe in a little bit. For now, I think, though, it's time for us to say namaste for the reading corner and wish everybody
Namaste.
a very happy rest of Wednesday and Thursday, to stay safe and to continue praying
Thank you.
for each other and for the world. And I know things will get better soon.
Namaste.